1, 2, 3, 4. This means the Grand Duchess Rasmus Conan just came back from Whole Foods 2 hours ago, but dinner is not ready. It's 10:38, and girl, knowing my diet, I can't eat after a certain time. Getting back into the vegetarian style. Ah, I am a survivor of fratricide in the U.S. Army. Served active duty. Um, Suffered that in Korea, etc., and some other harassment, abuse, Fort Bliss, Walter Reed, etc., etc., and it takes its course and so forth. It takes a toll. People, somebody told me, never see themselves in the things that they're doing, but I always say, I guess if you're not human, you can't see your own inhumanity, and I can't look at another human being and call them a dog. I may say somebody's a bitch because I'm a bitchy behavior, but I never enlighten a person to an animal in that sense. You either come to dislike certain people or you don't like them at all, and life goes on. It's not a matter of hostility, animosity. Truth sometimes is said for what it is, and say it out loud. Relieve yourself of it, because people cannot find the sometimes the solution in their own, in the craziness of their own debauchery. I don't know why. I was taught to say sorry. I was taught that if I tore up, like I remember at school, I broke somebody's pencil and I didn't have one to give it back, and my grandmother forced me to give the other boy my pencil the next day. I should have given that. And so therefore I do things like that and so forth. Patience is a virtue, kindness is a virtue, and so forth. Above all that we do to protect and to fight for the Constitution and so forth, you would think in the mentality that we have to each other would be some of grave respect and marked, compassion. But it's not so. You feel that people commit crimes against each other, major crimes, and get away with it all because of rank, so forth and so forth. And me no different. I have come up against everybody above my rank and even below, and I'm not afraid to say it for what it is. Grief for them because it's their irresponsibility and their inhumanity. Yes, I survived fratricide. And I'm going to say one more thing. They could have isolated me. They could have said whatever, poisoned my family and relationships and so forth. But as I said, the relationships were rituals and not effectually endearing to each other, or else they would have been supportive. And so I have to be thankful of that I am relieved from those relationships and there's unsupportiveness. Secondly, I want to give another example of the sheer kind of herdish behavior among nurses in the Army Nurse Corps, the sheer inhumanity and so forth among nurses and so forth. I was a young nurse at Fort Bliss, Texas, first lieutenant, and on the ward, and we were all working the night. I remember there were two young ladies sharing, one young lady sharing the bedroom, and another young lady came to visit. They were both Asians. I remembered she had possibly pain related to cancer and so forth, and it could have been terminal. Nobody knew where it was going and so forth. And she was in so much pain, and she had this one girl to support her. Apparently, some members of the staff peeped through the door and saw them kissing each other and embracing each other intimately in the bedroom. All doors were closed. Mind you that they invaded the privacy. They didn't knock or anything. They pushed the door and saw it. Then they confronted me at the nurse's station, all of them. I don't know what they wanted me to say. They said, "Tomlinson, your patient XYZ is gay. What are you going to do about it? You need to report them," and so forth. And I stand up quite frankly in front of them. They were mostly Caucasian and one Asian boy. And I said to them, quite frankly, I do not care if my patient is gay or not. She is a member of the armed forces and she is suffering. And if that's her support, then that is what I will allow. And they tried to force me, and did everything to try to intimidate me into reporting the sexuality of my patient, while this patient was suffering from cancer and pain, and this was her emotional support. So you can see the mentality that goes back in the things that I'm saying. And I promised you to report everything truthfully and honestly as I have experienced it in this army. This is Meza Grand Duchess Rasmus Conan, also known as Ryan Tomlinson, broadcasting tonight from Building 50, Room 324, Mercy Hall, Walter Reed, Bethesda. Have a good evening.